Welcome back to PokePaint, the series where I develop characters, locations, and of course Pokemon for a fan-made Pokemon region. If you were here last week at the start of our new season, you'll remember that we created 3 starter Pokemon that called this region home. Foleep, Embellion, and Agwirtle. The region in question being based on the Virgin Islands, an island chain in the southern Caribbean. So in this episode, we're going to take the next logical step and begin the development of the starter evolutions. We'll start off in relative Pokedex order with the evolution of Foleep. Crokick. The evolutions of Foleep were both really hard to get right, so much that, as you'll soon see, I did Crokick twice. Its name is a mashing of the words croak and kick, because in this form its main combative style is inspired by capoeira, a Brazilian kickboxing style. I began adding small bits of foliage, inspired by starters like Grovyle and Sceptile. It actually became a headdress of sorts, which was unintentional, but actually works really well for the types of designs I went for. Crokick, the tree frog Pokemon, and the evolved form of Foleep. The natural headdress of Crokick is a very personal thing. In their packs, the size and vibrance of these leaves garners them much respect from their peers. The health of these leaves is a great way to determine the health of your Crokick. Although their main form of combat is by kicking, Crokick are also known to use the leaves on their wrists as blades in combat. For the final evolution of Foleep and Crokick, we have Kafraga. This was, to be honest, the most difficult of the starter evolutions to do, at least so far. And it took me 3.5 hours to render it fully. My basic concept was a frog that uses the Brazilian kickboxing style of capoeira to fight. As such, it would gain the combo of grass fighting in this form. As I said before, each of the final forms would be dual-typed. I made a mood board for this final evolution because I actually designed it before Crokick. I usually stray away from humanoid forms in my Fakemon just because I don't tend to gravitate towards those overly human Pokemon when I play the games. But in this case, my options were a bit limited. It was hard to give it a frog's body and also convey the kickboxing part of its inspiration without just making it humanoid. Related to that, I discovered an art piece by the artist T Fiddler on Instagram, who created a piece for his Weretober series called The Were Frog, and this ended up having a strong influence on this design. So at some point in the development process, I stopped fighting it, and to my surprise it worked. And with the addition of the headdress-like foliage, Kafraga almost resembles the Argonians from Skyrim in a way, which also was unintentional, but again, something that I'm actually pretty happy with. Its name is a hybridization of the words capoeira and frog. Kafraga, the kicking Pokemon, and the evolved form of Crokick. Over the course of many battles, this Pokemon has honed its skills in physical hand-to-hand, or more accurately, foot-to-face combat. As it is an absolute asset to have one on your team. If you do, they make natural leaders. This is because in the wild, a single Kafraga leads its pack. Challenges from solo Kafraga are very common, as many Kafraga in the area eye the coveted prize of leader of the pack. In an unexpected way, this practice never gets super violent. Although the battles are intense, they are akin to duels, and the humbled Kafraga always concedes when it's defeated. To take a small intermission from Pokemon, we have the catalyst for your iconic 3-pronged starter decision, the Professor. This region's top scientist is named Professor Fraxon, and is based on Charles Darwin, the scientist that traveled to the Galapagos Islands and came up with the theory of evolution. His name, like any other professor, is related to trees, although it may not be readily apparent. Fraxinus is the genus for the group of trees known as the ash trees. The ash tree is supposed to be the species of tree that the world tree is in Norse mythology. Since Darwin was from England and Norse mythology has a heavy cultural foothold there, I thought it was appropriate to relate that tree to his tree of evolution. It may be a bit of a stretch, but I think it's pretty clever. Professor Fraxin, he was born in the Lentil region, the region from Pokemon Snap that is based on the Galapagos Islands. So Professor Fraxin studies regional forms, and as such, he is relocated to this region, the one based on the Virgin Islands. So yes, this means we will have some regional forms in this Pokedex. In fact, I have a few that I'm already bouncing around in my head. But for now, let's just move on to the final Pokemon line for today. The evolved form for Embellion is Camember. I also designed this one after I made its final form. I personally feel like that's a way better way to do it, as in that way, I know where the middle point between the first and last design will be, and I want to make these forms feel like true transitions as much as possible. Not that I want them to not be able to work on their own, but I just don't want to fall into the Tepig Pignite trap that I talked about in my video back in July. How those Pokemon don't really look like they fit together if you actually think about it. I feel like it's a really important trait for the starters to have clear, defined changes in each form in a single direction as they evolve, as this, in my mind, is supposed to mirror the player's growth as a Pokemon trainer. Anyway, for this design, I looked at a lot of chameleon body types and found that a lot of them actually have long serpentine bodies, and I thought that that would be a cool thing to go for. As serpents in many cultures and religions have wicked or mischievous relations, something that fits with its eventual ghost type. As for the tail, spines, and head crest, I changed the shape to become more of a suitable halfway between the first and final stages. You'll see what I mean soon. The name Camember comes from the same two words as its first form, Embellion, but in reverse, chameleon and ember. Camember, the chameleon Pokemon, and the evolved form of Embellion. Alike to its previous form, this Pokemon is extremely slow, as its instinct is to attempt to be unnoticed. Although trained Camember tend to enjoy battles, wild ones will try everything they can do to avoid one. They have unrivaled camouflage to aid in this instinct, and although it was once thought that this Pokemon could be invisible, in reality, it's not quite there yet. The final form of Embellion was Lelucent. For this, I looked at a lot of fan art from back when people were still trying to predict the Gen 8 evolutions. Lelucent took some key features from that really popular Sobble evolution design that was going around in 2019. And also, of course, there was a lot characteristically drawn from those long-bodied chameleons that I've mentioned earlier. In the final fruition of the transitioning designs from the last stage, the tail unfurls into a long flag or whip with a fiery membrane, and the spines find themselves made of the same substance that I imagine glowing in low-light environments, although it's not live fire. Lelucent's name comes from lizard, alight, and translucent, the later referring to the fact that it has the ability to become completely invisible, leading to its fire and ghost type combo. Lelucent, the Spectre Pokemon in the evolved form of Camember. Scientists have attempted to replicate the scales on Lelucent's back in the lab to little success, as they can turn completely invisible. This is a skill that the Pokemon uses to excellent effect, as they use it in combination with their blazing speed to dazzle their opponents in combat. When visible, its spines will glow a faint red at night. This red can be seen through the jungle at night, and was once thought to be an evil spirit of the forest by the natives. Its spines are known to grow bright when it's either in an intense battle or if it likes a person it sees. Transversely, its spines grow dark when it sleeps. Alright, that's gonna be it for this week. I'm sorry we didn't do our Squirtle's Evolutions today. Don't worry, we'll get to those in the next episode. We will also develop a map for the next region. I hope you're as excited for the series as I am, because I'm really liking making Pokemon videos again. If you have a suggestion for a Pokemon, then leave it in a comment below so that I can see it. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, then subscribe, and turn on the bell to get notified when I upload next.